evening and welcome to All Levels Yoga. I'm Chris and coming at you live here from the Hatha Yoga Center in Seattle, Washington. Another kind of gray summer day here. So I'm just going to do a well-rounded practice this evening. If you have any requests, you can put them in the comments. So let's just sit for a moment and do just a little bit of breathing and ground ourselves before we get started. So I'm sitting up on a block. You could sit on a cushion or just sit on the floor. Find a comfortable position. Let's just take a few breaths, just bringing ourselves into the awareness of our breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. Feeling your breath all the way around your rib cage, in the back of your rib cage, the front and sides. And as you inhale, just allowing your belly to move, to expand, so that the respiratory diaphragm can move. So inhale, exhale. You could close your eyes. Inhale. And exhale. Just a couple more conscious breaths, just feeling length in your spine, feeling grounded in your seat, heavy in your seat, lifting up through the crown of the head, and just feeling how the breath affects you after even just a few deeper, more complete breaths, noticing how you feel. And then I am going to come to hands and knees to begin. So making your way to your hands and knees, spreading your hands and bringing your shoulders right over your wrists, your knees underneath the pelvis. And just find your tabletop position and then begin to move with the breath. So tucking your spine and rounding and exhaling. Inhaling as you arch your back and let your belly drop. So moving through all the little segments of your spine with the breath through cat and cow. So you might be able to see where you feel some stickiness or where things don't move quite as easily, or maybe you have some spots that feel a little sore, so just kind of noticing. And then just coming back to hands and knees again to your tabletop position. Walk your knees back a little bit and come into a prayer position. You could come to your fingertips for a moment and kind of wrap your elbows in and feel like underneath your armpits is kind of doming up and you're widening and broadening in the middle of your back. And then you could release the fingertips and come to the palms, maybe rolling your head side to side a little bit. Your forehead, kind of massaging your forehead on the floor. And then as you do that, as you come to the right, you could kind of lift your palm and flip your palm and then come back to center and over to the left, turning your palm. Just kind of rocking, moving the neck and the head. Feeling into the sides of your body. And then coming back to center, walking your hands over towards the left. And taking a side stretch. Drawing your left hip back. Breathing. Let your breath be nice and full and comfortable in your body. Feeling the rib cage expanding and contracting. Moving your hands over towards the right. Drawing the left hip back. Breathing into the middle of your back, into the lower back, feeling it inflating, and then walking your hands back to prayer again, and just take another breath there. And then let's come up to downward facing dog. So spread your hands, tuck your toes, lift your hips, wrapping the elbows in. And you could press into one heel and the other. Maybe moving your chest and your hips as you do that, just kind of slowly starting to warm up the body. And feeling into your ankle joints, your toes. And then with your knees bent quite a bit, walking forward, you could come up onto your fingertips, walk forward into your forward bend, finding your long spine there. And moving a little bit, spreading your toes, letting them lengthen out from the soles of your feet, keeping your neck at ease. Just taking a couple breaths here, consciously in your forward bend, letting your knees be bent a little bit. They don't have to be straight. You're just slowly letting the backs of your legs lengthen and soften. You could walk your hands out here and kind of come to your fingertips and wrap your elbows in again and kind of feel that kind of lifting underneath your armpits. And then bring your arms back and just slowly come up with a flat back. Sweep your arms up, gathering up some air. And reach up. And then just let your arms come back down really slowly, like you're pushing the air down. And release. Go ahead and just let your arms kind of hang and turn your body side to side. Moving as much as you want to, letting your head move or not. And then coming back to center. And finding your standing mountain pose, so really feel your feet on the floor, hip width. And let's let our arms come up like this today, so palms open and just reach up. Again, like you're pushing through the air, lengthening up. So grounding through your sacrum, lifting up through the pubic bone, up through the sternum, lifting your gaze, and then we'll come forward, bowing forward, bending the knees again, as much as you need to, bend the neck long, and just taking a couple breaths here. We'll go slowly through the first sun salutation. Feeling the breath coming in and out through your nose. So you can kind of feel a little bit of traction in your spine, even if you're not fully folded forward. See if you can find some kind of lengthening in your spine. Maybe by pressing your hands into your legs a little bit. And then let's step the left knee back, bring the knee down, and come up into lunge with your knee down. You can bring the weight really back over the knee, so you can even lift your foot, front foot, and then letting the arms come up. And taking a couple of breaths. Breathing. Again, steady breath, steady gaze. And then turn your palms out and slowly bring your hands back down and clasp your hands and stretch into your chest. Breathing, keeping the head back and up on top of the shoulders. And then maybe releasing your hands and coming forward. You can step your front foot forward a little, stretching a little deeper into your quads. Nice big breath. Shoulders are relaxing, jaws relaxed, breathing. So you're kind of sinking, but you're actually also lifting up at the same time. And then maybe bringing your fingertips to the floor, keeping your shoulders and head lifted. Yeah, and using blocks. It's good to have blocks today. Maybe you could bring your hips back and your foot back a little and just come a little deeper into the stretch of your lower leg. Just being conscious of your knee if that causes any discomfort, obviously back out of it, but breathing, feeling into the ankle, you can move a little bit. And then let's bring our weight back and up. And let's take a little twist. So you could do that with your left hand down And bring your right arm up, opening your chest. And if you want to add more, you could reach back for your left foot with your right hand. Maybe drawing the heel in towards the buttock. Going deeper into the quad stretch. Nice steady breath. And then release the foot. And come back and keep your foot, your toes on the floor. And bring your hips back so you're stretching the top of your foot like you're pointing your toes towards the floor. And then you could lift the toes and flex, coming into like this kind of hamstring calf stretch. And of course using blocks if you need to, keeping your shoulders and head lifted. Just another breath. You can also like turn your toes in and out, kind of feeling into the hip joint, just being curious about it without causing any pain. And then just come forward and then step back to downward facing dog. And breathing here, you could step your left foot up and over the right foot. And bringing the sole of your left foot to the floor, lifting your left hip. Just feeling into the lower back, waistline. Breathing, continuing to really reach through your hands and wrap the elbows in. And then coming back and stepping the right foot up and over the left. Nice steady breath, lifting your right hip, keeping the neck easy. Feeling the waistline lengthening. And then back to center. And let's come forward into plank, keeping your head lifted as you come forward. And bringing your hips right in between the crown of the head and the heels, so you're one long line. Taking a couple breaths, bringing your shoulders just a little bit in front of the wrists, and then bending your elbows, coming down. You can bring your knees down anytime and onto your belly. And then let's actually come into Sphinx pose, so elbows a little bit in front of the shoulders as you kind of pull your belly forward, so you're stretching your belly, breathing. You can also kind of lift your belly and tip your tailbone down towards your heels, taking any compression out of your low back, breathing. And you can move your neck too. And then just sweep your arms back, clasping your hands at your sacrum. Maybe keeping the tops of your toes on the floor as you kind of move your shoulders side to side. And then you might choose to roll all the way over onto your left side maybe. Drawing the right shoulder down. Taking a few breaths here. Keeping the head lifted. Breathing. And kind of balancing on the side of your body. And then rolling back through center. And to the other side. Breathing. Feeling the left shoulder drawing down the rib cage, and then back onto your belly. And you might let your toes lift. Nice steady breath, in and out through the nose. And then release, and bring your hands under your shoulders. Draw your elbows in by your sides, bend the knees. Draw your hips back and up, and come back to downward facing dog. And then you could take another variation maybe for your shoulder. So you could try lifting your left hand back and up to the sacrum, palm facing down, and maybe open your shoulder a little bit, lifting your left shoulder. Wrapping your right elbow in, really strong in that right shoulder. And then release the left hand and lift the right hand back up. And bringing the hand to the sacrum and lifting the right shoulder, opening it a little, and then release that. And then we'll step the left foot forward, bringing the right knee down. Again, squaring the hips and feeling how the weight is over the right knee. And letting your arms float up. Finding your gaze, steady breath. Feeling the breath, not just in the front of your chest, but feeling the belly move a bit and the back of your rib cage moving. And then you take your hands and clasp your hands and just press them out in front of you, and then try bringing them up. You don't have to come all the way up, just breathing and then release. And bring your hands down to your knee, walking your left foot forward, coming a little deeper. Finding your gaze, staying focused. And then maybe you release your hands, bringing your fingertips to blocks or to the floor, keeping the shoulders and head lifted. And a little deeper. And breathing. And then bring the left foot back just enough to bring the knee forward to stretch into the back of your left calf, lower leg. Just another breath there. And then bringing your weight back, bring your right hand down by your left foot and open up into the twist. Maybe reaching your hand back for the right foot, drawing the heel in towards the buttock, still breathing, opening your chest, feeling the bigger stretch in your quad, and then releasing that foot and coming back and keeping your toes on the floor, drawing the hip back. So you're stretching the top of your foot, you could point your toes. And then flex your foot and feel that stretching in the back of the leg, the calf and the hamstrings. Maybe moving your hip a little. It's almost like you're dragging your heel towards you. And then coming forward, and we'll step forward into the forward bend. Coming into your forward bend. Finding your long spine. And maybe you could come up to halfway, keeping your flat back. And pause, take a breath, and then just bow forward. And then we'll come up to stand again, sweep the arms out like you're gathering up the air, like the air has some weight to it. And bringing the hands down through center. And just pause for a moment, finding your breath, feeling your heart beating. Just coming back to your resting heart rate if you can. You might extend your exhale a little bit. And then arms up. Lengthen up, reach up. Lifting pubic bone, grounding sacrum, long spine. Exhale, come forward into your forward bend again. And then think consciously about how you're going to step back into a lunge. You're going to lift your right foot up and step it back. Feet are still hip width. You might start low, so maybe fingertips on the floor or blocks, keeping the shoulders and head lifted. You could step your hands onto the inside of the foot and kind of move your knee a little bit. Just feeling into that. And then hands back on the outside of the foot. And then we're going to come up into Warrior One. So bend your back knee as much as you need to. And take a couple breaths here. Sometimes it's nice to hook your thumbs and just try something different with your arms. Just don't let your elbows flare out, kind of wrap them in. And just another breath there. And Release your hands. And then let's come back just come back to like a pyramid type position, even with the wide legs. So you might be on blocks. So drawing that left hip back so you're long through both sides of your torso, and then bring your knee down again, and come back to that half split type pose, and then back to, a couple times through, back to your lunge, and back to just moving a little bit like you're oiling your hip joints. And then step back to downward dog, and take a breath there. And then come forward into plank, keeping the head lifted, taking a breath there. You could try lifting your right foot, keeping your hips pretty level there, and then lift the opposite foot, your left foot, and release it. And coming down all the way onto your belly, and just keep your hands where they are. Draw your elbows together and roll up, keeping the hands just floating. You can have your legs pretty close together. Taking a couple breaths, opening the chest. And then maybe you want to come up into a higher version of Cobra, so lifting up. And breathing. And then slowly coming back down. You might come all the way down, keeping your elbows bent, bring your forehead down, rock your hips a little bit, and then bend your knees, and come back up to your downward facing dog. So lift your tail like there's a string pulling you back and up. Taking 2 breaths here, nice deep breaths. And then we'll step the right foot to the front of the mat, so a long lunge with fingertips on the floor, lifting shoulders and head or on blocks. A steady breath. Big stretch of the legs, like you're taking a huge step. And you can also feel your torso is kind of pressing into the inner thigh. Then maybe taking the hands on the inside of the foot, and you could move the knee in and out a little bit. You can also drop your back knee to do that if it's more comfortable. And then your hand back on the outside, your right hand back on the outside, and bend the back knee and come up into your warrior one with your back heel lifted. Taking a couple breaths there. And one more breath. And then bringing your knee down. And coming back into this. I don't know what this pose is called, but what? Ardha Hanumanasana, like half split. That could be it. And then maybe just kind of moving through the lunge and then back a couple times. It doesn't have to be like through your entire range of motion. You might be just kind of moving into the hip a little bit. And the next time you come forward, you're going to step forward. So think about doing that with your center, using your core, stepping up. Into your forward bend. Keeping your feet about hip width. And if you feel safe in your back to do this, you could bend your knees and clasp your hands at your elbows and hang. If you have problems with your lower back, this can be a little bit risky, but if you keep your knees bent quite a bit, it's okay, and let your head relax. Depends on your body, what it will tolerate. bend the knees and let your arms go, and then consciously, like we do when we round into cat and cow, consciously with your knees bent, scoop your belly up and roll up. Head's the last thing to come up. And take a pause. Finding your standing mountain again. And then let's turn and come into a wide-legged position. And let's come forward. Bend your knees. Actually, let's come into this kind of sumo position. So you're pushing your knees out. You might dip your shoulder to one side and the other. Your toes are turned out. So you're just turning your spine. And then coming back to center and straightening the legs, coming forward into a forward bend. And then you could bend into one knee and the other and just let your shoulders and elbows move. Moving through from side to side. Coming as deep as you like into the bend of the knee. Breathing. Maybe getting a little rhythm with it. And then maybe the next time you come towards the left foot, you could come deeper into the lunge. You might even walk your feet a little further apart so the right toes are pointing straight forward. You might bring your left elbow into the knee. You can stay up on your hand or maybe come down to the forearm. You can also lift your heel, your left heel if you need to. So lots of possibilities. Keep your spine and your breath primary. So find your long spine. And also not pushing into any pain in your knee or anything like that. We're not looking for any injury, obviously. But it's good to say it once in a while. We're looking for comfortable movements where we can breathe. You know, there's always discomfort, but then bending into your right knee and coming to the other side. And blocks can be used here as well to bring the floor up a little higher to meet you. Taking a couple breaths. And then coming back to center when you're ready. And you might turn your toes in quite a bit and then just kind of bend the knees and feel the stretch in the outer part of your lower leg. Kind of just carefully. This can be very tight and a little awkward. And then turn your toes back forward. And let's walk hands over to the lower left leg or ankle. Again, feeling like there's a string on your tailbone, kind of lifting up and you're tipping forward. Letting your head relax and breathing. Kind of drawing your right hip back. And then walking hands over to your right foot or ankle or lower leg. Drawing the left hip back. Notice how your hips, you could probably tip up a little bit and move forward so you're more centered over the foot rather than back in the heels. Just playing with it. It's not like there's a right or wrong, but just more like noticing your habits. And then releasing, coming back to center. And we're going to turn towards the left foot for pyramid. So you might walk your back foot in a little bit. Step it in a little bit, but keep your feet about hip width. So your back foot is, the toes are angled out towards the edge of the mat. So staying here for a few breaths, and blocks might be handy here. Or you can reach for the leg. If coming all the way to the floor causes you to round the spine. So drawing the left hip back, lengthening through both sides of your torso. So maybe press the mound under the big toe of your left foot into the floor and bend your left knee a little bit and keep that foot firmly anchored to the floor as you straighten the leg and draw your left hip back. So a big stretch in the leg, back of your left leg. Couple more breaths. You could try walking your fingertips forward a little bit. Again, kind of tenting your fingers. And I have carpet here, so I can kind of get a grip. But your mat might give you that as well. And then walking the hands back in, take your hand by your left foot, or maybe onto your left foot, and pause there. So you're getting ready for the twist. Hand your left hand back to your sacrum, and then start to turn. Keep drawing your left hip back as you turn. And the spine is turning. You could lift your left arm or keep it on your lower back. And you kind of feel how your inner thighs are kind of adducting, drawing towards each other. And your chest is opening. Maybe you can take a little bit of the weight out of your right hand, coming up a little. And just another breath. Look straight ahead or up, but just keep the neck long. Then slowly release the twist. And just stay here, pause. Again, finding your pyramid, which are straight legs, and a pretty level sacrum here. Finding your gaze. Again, feel the breath all the way around the ribcage. So you're not just breathing into your upper chest. And then bend into your left knee and step your right leg up and press back through the heel, toes of your right foot pointing straight down. So you're in warrior 3 with your fingertips on blocks or on the floor. And just pause there. And then you can keep a little bend in the standing leg if you need to. And then open up into the twist here with your left arm either straightening up or maybe back to the lower back. You could turn to look. Breathing, keeping that left hip lengthening back. And then slowly turning down. The hands are on the floor or blocks again. And reach back and come back into the pyramid with your legs. Pause. And then just turn, and you'll come back to your wide-legged stance again and bend into one knee and the other. Let it be easy, comfortable, moving. You could bring your hands back behind the neck and traction your head if that feels good. Breathing, releasing that. And then we're going to walk and turn towards the right foot. So feet will be hip width. So you're on train tracks, not on a tightrope, we say. Toes of your left foot, your back foot are angling out towards the edge of the mat. And now we're dealing with the right hip, and we're dealing with the hamstrings in the right leg and the calf muscles. So your long spine. Keeping the head and shoulders lifted and the tail lifting. So there's a pretty neutral spine. Taking a couple more breaths here. Feeling your right hip drawing back, lengthening. You might try that thing where you press the ball of your foot under the big toe into the floor, bend the right knee, and then as you straighten your knee back, draw your right hip back, keep it pressing that ball of the foot into the floor. And then from here we'll come into the twist, so fingertips are going to stay by the right foot, fingertips of your left hand opening up into the twist. Drawing your right hip back, keeping head lifted and breathing. Lifting the belly. So, big twist. Steady breath, find your gaze. And then slowly releasing. Coming back to your pyramid for a couple breaths before we step the back foot up. So then we'll bend into the right knee a little bit and we'll lift the left leg. Keeping the toes of your left foot pointing towards the floor, keeping the sacrum level. You might be on your fingertips or on blocks. Find your breath, drawing your right hip back, and then take your twist. So lifting the right arm. Keeping your neck long, your belly lifting, chest is opening, breathing. Really nice, deep breath in and out through the nose. And then the hand comes back down. You're back in warrior 3 with the fingertips down. And stepping your left foot back to pyramid, taking a breath. Moving slowly in and out of these transitions. And then we'll just turn again and come back into our wide-legged forward bend. You can bend into your one knee and the other again, just kind of letting your body reset itself. Breathing. You might come back to center and clasp the hands behind you and maybe lift the hands up, stretching into the upper back and shoulders. You could even turn a little side to side. And then release the hands. And let's walk your feet in just a tiny bit. Keep the toes turned out. And we'll come into that squat. So bring your hands down to the ankles. Press your knees out and draw your hips back. So your tail's lifting and your head and shoulders are lifting. Reach forward with your arms if you can. You can also keep your hands down. This gives you a little counterbalance. It's harder, but... And then find your breath. You could gaze forward. And then release the hands. Walk your feet in even closer and come into your squat. It's finding the right place for your feet. You can have your heels lifted. And you can also put something underneath your sit bones so you're supporting yourself as well. Just take a couple breaths wherever you are. And then come forward and come into frog pose. So you might have your feet together and keep your spine long, knees apart. So getting some stretch in your inner thighs. It's okay to move a little bit, just feeling your way into the stretch with a little bit of gentle movement. A couple more breaths. And then just come forward onto your belly and bring your legs closer together and lift your right foot, keep your right knee bent, legs are on the floor, and just circle your ankle joint in one direction and the other, just circling it around. And then you might also just circle the lower leg. Notice the range of motion you have like that. And then switch directions with that. And then straighten that leg and bend your left leg and circle your ankle. You might hear some crackling. And then opposite direction. I've got a little crackling in my knees and ankles for sure. And then circle the lower leg around. You might notice one side is more easy to move than the other, perhaps. And then let's bring your hands back in. Press yourself back to child's pose. So swing your arms back and let your shoulders rest. Bringing your forehead down. You can make your knees wide if you want. And you can rock a little side to side. Turn your forehead side to side. Or turn your head. So you're kind of rubbing into your forehead. rubbing away all those worry lines about the pandemic and about the upcoming election and about every other problem in the world that's pressing down on you. It's just let it go, let it all go. Come back to center and take a big breath in through your nose, and then just release it all into the floor. And let it sink down deep into the earth. There's a lot going on in the world right now. And then let's come up to our knees and do a little camel pose. So you can bring your hands back to your sacrum, draw your elbows back, pressing your hips forward and just lengthening up. So more lengthening up than falling back. Drawing the belly in. You could also keep your chin tucked, or you can stretch it back. Just make sure you can swallow, you can breathe. And then just slowly release and come back to your seat for a moment. Take a couple of twists, just easy, side to side. And then let's come back up one more time. You might try tucking your toes, and you could reach your left hand back for your ankle and lift your right arm, and then just look back. If that feels uncomfortable, you can also bring your left hand to your sacrum. So you're getting a lot of length in the right side of your body, keeping the hips pressing forward, and then switching. So hand to the sacrum, or if you like it to the heel, you can do that too. Keeping the neck long. And releasing. And coming back and just letting your back kind of do a little seated cat-cow. So round your spine, and then inhale and arch. Letting your spine kind of, the whole spine move. A couple more times like that. It's a little different doing it in a seated position. And then let's try, so we're sitting in Virasana. So let's try either with one leg at a time or with both legs. So if you're doing both legs, you're gonna bring your ankles or your heels kind of to the outside of your legs, roll your calves out, and then come back. And you can have a block underneath. You might come back like to your hands like this, or to your elbows, or all the way down. And then the other way would be to straighten one leg. That's a little bit easier. So your choice. So it's a big stretch for your quads, and you can really feel it right around the knee where it inserts there. You might be able to feel a lot of stretching. Just be gentle. And of course, you can always, if you're here on your forearms, you can tuck your chin, or you can let your head come back. Just be conscious about your neck here. We're not trying to strain our neck too much. And if you're on your back, you can bring your arms up and over too. So a couple more breaths on that side, and then switch. And there's not a perfect place for your knees. They don't have to be touching each other or wide, but just find like the right spot for you. So for me, I've got a little bit of space in between my thighs, but not too much. Not quite hip width, maybe. And switch to the other side, hopefully, by now. If you're doing one side at a time. And to get out, I would recommend coming to downward dog slowly, or to a forward bend, and just letting your legs straighten and kind of moving a little bit, letting it all go. Coming back to your legs feeling a little more like they normally do, whatever that might mean. And then let's come, if you're in down dog, so let's come into downward facing dog. And let's lift the right leg straight up. Press up through your heel, keeping the hips square. breathing. Maybe you can walk your hands slowly back as you keep your leg lifted and reach for your left ankle. So you're coming basically into a standing splits. You might bring your left hand to your left ankle. If you want to lift your right leg higher, try to just do it by using the muscles in the back of your leg and your buttock. And then just slowly walk out again. And stack your hips and let your right knee bend. Open up the front of your right hip and stretch into the belly and the front of the hip. And then straighten that leg back up and draw the knee forward for pigeon. So just take your time and come forward maybe to your forearms. So taking some breaths here. Keeping the hips kind of centered. You might feel your heel kind of in your lower belly. And it's Friday night in the U District, so there's going to be a little bit of street noise always. And just another breath or two here. And then we'll take a twist. So you have a couple options. You could bring your left arm across and reach for your right knee and reach back for your sacrum, or maybe for your foot. And you also, I prefer to come up onto my left hand if I'm reaching for my foot. And you might too. So you're kind of like, your hand and your foot, neither one is pulling harder. There's like a sense that your hand and your foot are both meeting each other with a certain amount of each one pulling on the other kind of evenly. And you might feel that in front of your lower left belly. And then release that. And then bring your right hand in front. Maybe you can reach back for your left foot with your left hand. And you could do that, or you could also bring your heel towards your buttock if you want more of a quad stretch. Breathing. So again, you're kind of lifting up and then release it. Lean to your right and swing your back leg around for a seated twist, which could be with the right leg straight or bent. As long as you can find your sit bones kind of evenly grounding into the floor with the knee bent, otherwise just straighten the leg. So find your spine, find your breath, and then maybe the right hand tucks underneath the left thigh, and maybe you reach back behind you with your left hand, and you're just turning the spine, keeping the right shoulder relaxed, or drawing down and away from the ear. So you're lifting and lengthening up. And so there's a certain amount of leverage you're getting with your leg, but you don't have to pull too hard. Just breathe. And then turning back towards the front again, and then stacking your knees. So you might come forward and stack the knees. Again, that could be with your bottom leg straight, like this. So just keeping the sit bones pretty much on the floor. You might be able to find a little movement forward, but kind of leading with your heart breathing. Sometimes it's nice to reach back and just clasp your elbows, just to get a little shoulder stretch. Or you could even clasp your hands and open the chest a little bit. Just breathing. There's another arm variation that we often do here, but since I don't feel like doing it, I'm not going to do it. But Lori's doing it over there. And that would be with your right arm up and your left hand meeting perhaps with a strap or with your fingers meeting. It's a big stretch. I'm choosing this variation with my elbows right now. And then leaning back, coming kind of back, and straighten your bottom leg, straighten your right leg, and pick up your left leg. Maybe you can bring your knee and your foot into the crook of your elbows, or just holding it and just kind of moving it manually, moving your hip. Try to sit upright. It's okay to lean back a little bit, but just kind of maybe rocking it like a baby. It's kind of comforting. And then you can release it and bring the sole of your foot into your inner thigh. Maybe you have a strap, or maybe you're reaching for your foot, or even the hands on the floor, just watching for the need to come forward with the head, and instead just keeping your spine long. There's a little bit of a twist to get you over the right leg. So keep the breath moving. Folding forward, so it's the same hinging that's happening in all of our forward bends. So you might be able to make contact with your thigh, with your belly. And just another breath there. And then just coming back up to your seat, and we'll take one last pose here. We're going to twist. So bring your right hand to your left knee, just an easy twist. And then here you are, and we did the right knee forward before, except I want to do downward dog because we did some stuff. So come back to down dog actually. We gotta do those same things on this side. So come to down dog, just kind of even yourself out. And then we're gonna lift the left leg straight up. So press up, flexing your foot, lifting a little higher by using the muscles in the back of the leg and the buttock. And then you could turn. Oh, actually, let's walk our hands back to the right foot for the standing split. I guess we did that first. Again, to get that left leg higher, you got to use the muscles in the back of your leg and buttock. And you might have your right hand on your ankle or shin. You might have both on there. It's pretty hard. And then just release and walk forward again and open your hip. Stacking your hip and bending your right or left knee. Stretching the front of your left hip and belly. And then straightening that leg back up. Drawing your knee forward for pigeon. And coming slowly forward. Taking your time. Maybe to your forearms. And again, steady, calm, relaxed, full breath. In and out through your nose. Feel like your nasal passages are really open. All of the tubes in your lungs are very open and ready to move the air in and out. So you're just making room for the breath in your body. Keeping a relaxed face and jaw and throat so there's no strain in your breath. And then we'll take a twist, just like you did on the other side. You may have taken your right arm down and your left hand back to the sacrum, or maybe you reached for your foot, maybe coming up onto the hand, just finding your variation of the twist. So breathing. And again, kind of feeling for the ankle to be pulling back as the hand pulls towards you. And then release it and bring your left hand down in front of you and your right hand back for the foot, maybe coming into the same kind of twist, or maybe drawing the heel towards the buttock. Again, just breathing. swing the right leg around. I'm going to turn to face the camera. And the sole of your right foot comes onto the other side of your left thigh if your right hip is hiked up to straighten your right or left leg, your bottom leg. So just find your breath and find your spine, and then slowly, maybe with a hand underneath the right thigh, just taking the twist. Nice steady breath, feeling length up the entirety of your spine from the tip of your tailbone all the way up through the crown of the head, and your head is balanced nicely on top of your shoulders so there's no strain. Just one more breath, and then unwinding, and we'll stack the knees. Again, you can have the left leg, the bottom leg straight, or you can come into this steer pose, Gomukhasana, cow facing pose. I'm not quite sure what the difference is. I think cow steer is with your feet out wider. So again, feeling for your sit bones to be moving towards the floor as you come forward, and then taking any shoulder arm variation. So that could be with the left arm up, reaching back with the right hand, maybe with a strap. Or like I did before, you could reach for your elbows. That's working better for me today. But we are all so different in what we need. We have lots of similarities in our bodies, and also lots of variation and lots of different needs. So breathing, we all need to breathe. I think we can agree on that. And just another breath. And then backing yourself up and releasing your arm variation. And then straighten your left leg and take that little cradling thing with the, just moving into the hip, maybe with the elbows around the knee and the foot, or you can also just hold on to the leg if you can't get it quite that way. I like to flex the foot pretty hard there. And then bringing your right foot into the left inner thigh, letting your right knee release towards the floor, and maybe coming forward, maybe with a strap or reaching for your foot. Breathing as you slowly move into this forward bend over your left leg. Maybe your lower belly can make contact with your upper thigh, maybe. And just another breath there. And then slowly coming back up, and we'll take the last twist, just an easy twist. And then turning back and straightening both legs. And you can kind of lean back, you turn your fingertips back and let your feet kind of flop so your femurs are, and that just feels so good after all that. And then maybe a little bit of just kind of, I guess the camera didn't like that thundering noise we were making there. Let's get this back to where we were. And then you might just try this one little stretch of your shoulders. So you could try reaching back and clasping your hands and then turning your palms down as you open your chest. That might be too much. If it is, just leave your hands separated and turn the fingertips back and open the shoulders. You can put the hands as far back as you want. Just Feeling your chest opening. And then release, draw your arms forward, and we'll just roll back slowly. Coming onto our backs real slow. And reaching the arms up and stretching. And then bring your arms and legs up and shake your legs and shake your arms like you're a crazy bug on its back. You can make some noise. And then just kind of like letting your arms and legs stay up and just kind of rolling on your back. You can move however you want to, just kind of letting your belly sort of be engaged so that you can kind of roll side to side, maybe just an organic kind of thing. We're always so precise in our yoga practice. We want to be all like aligned, but maybe just try this. Maybe you're bending into one knee and the other, and then maybe taking your feet and you're in happy baby. And you could also rock. So maybe as you come towards the left, you might even straighten your right leg, and then bend the knees, come back to center, and then maybe straighten your left leg as you roll over into the right knee. So moving like that, you can move as quickly or slowly as you want. I think it feels really good on the back to rock in happy baby. Maybe that's why babies do it. And then just coming back to center, draw your knees in towards your chest. Rock a little bit. And then let's bring the arms out to the sides and the feet up. So the feet soles are pointed towards the ceiling. And then go side to side without lifting the sacrum up. So keep your upper body relaxed. Move really slowly so you're not moving at all with momentum. And you can go as far over to the side as you can without lifting your lower back or sacrum off the floor. So you're using your belly to completely control the movement. There's not very much sense of momentum. So just going slowly. One foot kind of slides down the inner ankle on the other foot. A couple more times. And then draw the knees in again and just pause. And then we'll bring the arms out to the sides again, bring the feet up and your heels together, toes slightly turned out. Press your tailbone down towards the floor and we'll inhale the right heel towards the floor, keeping tailbone pressing down. Exhale, back up. Inhale, left heel towards the floor, pressing tailbone down. Inhale, or exhale, back up. And then your choice, either one leg at a time like that, just focusing on the movement being very slow. Or you can also switch and do both legs. So try to keep your belly drawing in, your tailbone pressing into the floor. Focus more on moving slowly with control rather than moving quickly and kind of using momentum. I'm going to stick with one leg at a time, but you can also bring your heels together and go 2 legs down. And just keep going a few more times. And then draw the knees into the chest and rock a little bit side to side. You can actually make little circles with your knees, kind of massaging your low back that way. And then let's bring our feet down about hip width and come up. Before we come all the way up into bridge, just press into your heels and come up about halfway. So you're almost like you're just hanging your spine kind of in your hips. So it's not a lot of effort, but there's a sense like you're a suspension bridge or something. And that feels kind of good. It's not a lot of effort. And there's a sense that you're getting some space in your back, your lower back. And then come up a little higher and a little higher, keeping your chin, untucking the chin so your neck has some of its natural curve, and just coming all the way up. You can keep your arms out to the sides if you want. And breathing. Let your breath be really full. You might be able to kind of press your heels like you're pushing them away from you. Lift your toes. Kind of waking up your legs a little more. And then just slowly rolling one vertebrae at a time if you can. Just rolling back down. And then right there with your feet on the floor, you could walk your feet forward a little bit and just do that kind of rocking thing. You could kind of like you're jiggling your body up and back by pressing into the heels and then lifting your feet, drawing your knees in. And let's roll into a fetal position on our left side. So keep your knees together, roll all the way onto your side, extend your left arm and your right arm, and then just slowly bring your right arm back towards you and turn into the twist, keeping your knees together. You might try to get a little bit more of your left shoulder blade on the floor, but don't push too hard. So opening the chest. You might notice that your right knee has kind of pulled back from the left knee. You could kind of play with stacking them. Might be too much. For me, it causes my right shoulder to be lifted higher. You might like the feeling of your shoulder closer to the floor. Maybe you're looking back over your right shoulder, kind of completing the twist with your neck. And then maybe you could extend your right leg. You could even reach for it with your left hand. And I'm just going to keep my lower leg right where it is. My left knee is bent, and that feels fine. Kind of opening my shoulders, breathing. And then release your foot and bend that top knee again and just roll onto your back. Take a moment, and then rolling onto your right side in the fetal position with your knees bent, and stretching out your right arm and bringing your palms together, and then just kind of drawing your left hand back up the right arm and all the way over, and extending it out behind you, and then you're in the twist. Again, just like on the other side. Noticing the differences in the two sides of your body without a lot of judgment. We're pretty lopsided usually in some ways. So just breathing. And then maybe you can extend the left leg. Maybe reaching for the foot. Maybe the right knee stays bent. Maybe you're looking back over your left shoulder. Nice big breath. And then releasing the left foot, bringing the knees back together and rolling onto your back and drawing your knees in again. One last time. And then let's extend the legs. And maybe you could, and bring your arms down. Maybe you could do a little bit of that jiggling by just like you're pointing your toes and then flexing your feet kind of, but you're jiggling your heels, and there's like a little bit, can get a little bit of jiggling going on in your body. That feels kind of satisfying. A little rhythm. And then just slowly stop that and come to stillness, taking any last movements you need towards corpse pose, Shavasana. So if you need anything to be comfortable for the next few moments, feel free to get it like a pillow under the head or covering for the eyes, maybe a pillow under the knees, and just releasing. I'm going to come to sit, but just stay on your back and find your surrendered body. Allowing yourself to be very heavy in your final resting pose. And just kind of feeling the effects of your practice today. Feeling heaviness,
and surrender, softness. Coming back to the sensation of your breath coming in and out through your nose and feeling how your body moves with the breath a little bit. There's a sense of rise and fall of your chest and your belly. You can let your breath be totally natural, so there might be a feeling of the breath being really shallow. It's okay. Your body will get as much breath as it needs here in this resting place. See if you can take a little quick, kind of deeper scan of yourself, just noticing if there's anywhere where you really feel like you could release a little bit more and just coax a little bit of that resistance to soften. So that could be in any number of places in your body. You might feel it in your jaw sometimes, or maybe in your neck, just softening. Just taking a few more breaths. And then to come back up, just roll on to your right side and make your way back to your seated position for a few breaths before we close, finding your long spine. So finding a little bit of the curves of your spine. Your lower back has a curve to it, and your neck. So feeling those curves, feeling how your head is balanced on top of the shoulders and the chest is open. And find the breath again. So feeling it all the way around. And nice steady breath. And then you might take a moment, just bring your hands together in Anjali Mudra. Just pressing your palms gently together, bowing your head to your own practice, to your own inner teacher, your higher self or your higher power. Namaste, and thank you for joining in, whether that is now or later or whenever. And thank you for your support of the Hatha Yoga Center so we can bring you live classes. Have a great evening.